swing and a drive, left field. It's deep. It's gone. Yes! And it is gone. Yes! It is bedlam at the bank.
To the doctor. Yes, he's got it. Here he comes. Way rocks the baby in his face and slams up. And the doctor made a sensational play. Pirates front the front, and they score! And Giroux got it. Left fires. Left and goal! Brady back again. He's got to be hit and go forward. And he fumbles the football and the Eagles have it.
We welcome you back to the Phillies Sports Hour. It's been a while, but it's great to be back here. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Happy unofficial start of summer, everybody. It's great to be here, and it's great to have you here on this Saturday morning where the weather is finally starting to go back up a little bit. It's kind of cool. Now starting to get a little warmer and making the atmosphere warm. Welcome back, Matt Brown. How we doing?
Doing good, Ben. You know, like you said, it's the unofficial start of summer this weekend. But, you know, it's good to kind of get them warm once again. Eventually, it'll get back to the football season. But I'm enjoying life right now with the Phillies and baseball, and NBA playoffs are doing pretty well. So it's still been a pretty good time for sports.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about these NBA playoffs. Hate watching the Knicks has been a lot of fun the last couple of days.
It is
Tyrese Halliburton and the Pacers. Woo.
It's been so good. Like I actually really liked Halliburton. Like for a while, I was on the campaign that actually wanted the Sixers to trade for him back in 2021 or 22, whenever the Simmons debacle was going down. And I thought he'd be a pretty decent pickup for this team with Maxey and Embiid, but, you know, we ended up going with Harden, which I still wanted Harden as well. I thought Harden would work well with this team, but that obviously didn't work out. But, hey, man, anytime the Knicks lose, it's a good day. So, as a Sixers fan, and as long as we can't win a championship, I don't want them winning a championship either. So, we're doing okay. Hate watching is a good thing sometimes, and I'm enjoying it right now.
I mean, I'm enjoying hate watching right now than I did watching the Sixers over the past however many months. It's been having more fun these last week watching basketball than I did for a span of 4 months. So
yeah,
you know, can't be too upset about that. Something else we can't be upset about as we get into our first segment of the day. Hey, we're still pushing Tushes in Philadelphia. We ain't going nowhere pushing these Tushes. The Tush push was up for a ban. It did not pass. 22 of the 32 NFL owners voted to ban the play. You need 24. They did not. The Packers' proposal did not reach that number. And you can thank the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, Detroit Lions, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots, New Orleans Saints, the New York Jets, and the Tennessee Titans, who sided with the Eagles to not get the play banned. Push on, Matt.
No, 100%. I am so happy that this play is still going strong. The Tush push, as much as people hate on this play, which you can have your reasons, whatever, if you're just jealous. I think that's kind of a loser mentality if you're just jealous of a play. It's whatever. At the same time, I love to see all these teams try to figure out new ways to stop this Tush push, because it's so funny to me just watching teams just either try to jump the pile or, you know, just bring guys in so much that, and every single time, not every single time, but pretty much every single time the Eagles are able to score on some of these teams, it literally takes Tampa Bay putting 300-pounders in the A gaps and on top of the center as well. So it's so funny for new ways to find out. And while it's great to see this Tush push back again for another season, it's a good and a bad thing. It's good that for the Eagles, obviously, you know, it's a great play for them and it works out for them so well. But we just got to listen to another year of every single team complaining, oh, when are we going to ban this thing, blah, blah, blah. It's probably going to get banned next season because at this point with 22 votes against, they're going to bring this up again next year, and it probably will get two teams probably will flip. So it eventually probably will get banned. But for now, we're living in style. Tush push is back again for another season. I'm so happy. I'm really excited how they go at it again. Do they do the normal Tush push like they've been doing with Saquon and last year was Kenny Gainwell. Now it'd probably be A.J. Dillon in the backfield because they start bringing in fullbacks like I forget the one fullback we have, but the Nebraska defensive tackle Ty Robinson. Nickname is Vanilla Gorilla, which is an awesome nickname, and he was a fullback for Nebraska on plays. Why don't you put him back there as well? There's just so many things they could keep doing with this play. And the funny thing to me about this play is even if it got banned, they were still going to run a successful quarterback sneak without a whole pushing of Hurts in the backfield. So it's just so funny to see people crash out about this, whether it's on social media or just other owners just being so mad. And I'm just happy that we get to have another year of this glorious tush push going forward.
Yeah, it ain't going nowhere. And you say like we would have a successful quarterback sneak. Our quarterback squats 600 pounds. Like the guy, I think, can just walk through anything. He walks through a fire and walks out smelling the smoke. Like, I mean, that was literally a quote that he said before. So, I mean, no matter what it is, Eagles are going to find a way to get around it. But I mean, you look at the reasons why this play was going to get banned. The health concerns. It's not a pretty play. It's like a rugby play. But you got Jordan Mailata saying it's just not a rugby play. It's nothing close to a rugby play. And Mailata played rugby in Australia, and so many other reasons, and like the health concerns. There's been 0 injuries on the play. It's all just.
I think frustration. I think frustration is the right word, like for that. It's frustrating to see that this is to the point where we're at right now with this. What we're grasping for straws, just trying to figure out ways to do it. And the thing that I find funny is the injury concern thing is so funny to me that we've had multiple reports of no injuries on any single play over this year, over the last year. Not one injury has happened, and people still think it's injury prone. And while you won't know like data like 10 years down the way, I understand that, but this is football anyway. You can't pinpoint the tush push being a sole reason why players get hurt for a certain thing. It's so that whole argument, I hate all that. I feel like I said, people are just grasping for straws right now, and it's really low-hanging fruit that people just think that they can use these ways to just get what they want. In my opinion, the main purpose is jealousy, but nobody wants to admit that. So until they do, I will not fully accept any of these reasons for wanting to ban it right now.
Yeah. I mean, if you're jealous and you can't run it, just learn how to stop it or learn how to run it yourself. Here was the proposal from this is the updated proposal that was just most recently made by the Green Bay Packers. Push or pull. You cannot push or throw your body, and this was the new one: assist the runner except by individually blocking opponents for him. Reasons are player safety and pace of play. And this would prohibit an offensive player from pushing, pulling, lifting, or assisting the runner except by individually blocking opponents for him. The penalty would be a loss of 10 yards if they were to get past. It's just a bunch of jealousy, as you said.
Yeah, like my main thing with this is what's funny about this is not only will that take away the tush push, but there's so many other plays on like run plays where you're a running back like gets to the outside and you're trying to push the pile into the end zone. Would be gone. That would be considered a penalty. So I think that's stupid as well. The pace of play thing as well. You act like teams are not going to do quarterback sneaks. And I get it. Is it going to be done as often QB sneaks as it is probably now with the tush push format? Probably not. Teams are still going to run quarterback sneaks. We're still on 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s. We're still going to run the same exact play. We're not going to change anything. So that whole pace of play argument, I think, is dumb too. And like I've been saying, the jealousy thing is the number one thing. My biggest concern is so many teams who are heavily against this often run the tush push in themselves. The Buffalo Bills, I think, are the biggest hater organization with this whole thing. The Packers are one thing. At least, like, I'll get into their whole thing about why I think they're just dumb and they're such haters as well. Sean McDermott has come out on multiple occasions and said that he hates this play and it should not be in, and it's dumb that we even allow this. When in reality, last season, you had Josh Allen run, I think, the second most tush push style plays in the NFL behind the Eagles. And on top of that, with your season on the line, 4th and 1 against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship, needed a first down. What do? You did the tush push with Josh Allen and tried to push him forward. If you did that exact scenario with the penalty, you get a 10-yard penalty, and now it's 4th and 11, or actually it's turnover on down because you didn't even get the first down, and you lose anyway. So to me, it's so annoying how hypocritical these teams are with this whole scenario. Another thing with the Bills too, their owner, Terry Pagula, Penn Stater, really good guy. He's donated a lot of money. His name is on the hockey arena at Penn State. My issue with him, he brought up during the last meeting in March that he thought that Jason Kelce retired because of too many tush pushes. I think, for one, that's a whole load of crap. I think that is just a terrible thing to say. It's a terrible thing to say about a guy who I would say probably for the last 4 years before he retired, he was considering retirement already. He had a family. He just didn't want to be dealing with football injuries all the time. And he was having trouble walking in off seasons. I remember watching the Kelce doc. He literally said for the last 3 years, it's been tough on him to get going. And the only reason he stayed put is because of how great he knew this team could be. And the team they were building, and they were great. And it's unfortunate that he didn't get his ring this past year, but it's whatever. But him retiring had nothing to do with that switch. And the fact that he had to go all the way out to Minneapolis to basically tell owners that I did not retire because of this play. It's safe. I am completely fine doing the way we do this motion forward. I'm completely fine with people getting on my back and pushing forward. It happens every time in NFL plays in the I don't want to say the scrums, but the push piles or whatever. He deals with it all the time. That was not a reason. And the fact that he had to go out there to Minneapolis and tell owners that, I'm fine, do not believe a single word of that. It was probably cool. I'm sure other people were saying it too. Don't believe these people because it's not true. I am perfectly fine. I was retiring because I'm 34 years old playing offensive line in the NFL at a top level for 13 years. It's a tough thing to do. So that whole argument with that, and Jeffrey Lurie had the right to get mad and basically crash out during that meeting for wanting to do that for other reasons as well. But that reason especially, it's so annoying that he had to do all that just to get this play not banned, which is so annoying as well.
Yeah, let's dive into that. So a big storyline with this, and it came out after the meeting in Minnesota, was Jeffrey Lurie, who recruited Jason Kelce along with him, what they said at the meeting. We'll start with what Kelce said, which I thought was good. This was from The Athletic. It was written by Deanna Rossini. And it was Kelce spent his entire playing career with the Eagles, retiring after the 2023 season, and ran the tush push countless times over his final 2 seasons. On Wednesday, he wasn't loud and animated, instead offering his expertise as an all-pro center and arguing for why the play should remain in the game. He told the room, if I could run 60 tush pushes in a game, I'd come back. Which, I mean, when you look at it that way, the guy's in the very middle of it. That sounds pretty strong that this tush push is not what it's really being all made to be by media and certain members high in the NFL. Because, well, it's safe.
No, 100%. It was what we've been talking about. That whole injury argument with that is just so stupid that he literally has to tell people, yeah, I would come back and run a tush push 60, 70 times a game if it meant for you to shut up about this injury play, because I'm perfectly fine doing it. And everybody says Cam Jurgens going to come down 15 years later and realize how much neck problem he has. Unless he gets directly hit in the neck, on any play that's happening, you can't pinpoint that to it happening. I really don't think it's ever going to happen the way that they run this tush push right now. So I hate that whole injury argument. And like I said, the fact that he had to go all the way out there and basically tell people this is just sad, because they're just, again, grasping for straws and just grasping for things that don't exist. And I hate it so much that they have to keep doing this to try and get it banned.
Yeah, it's so funny because he even said this on his podcast multiple times during this whole thing that it's not it's probably the easiest play that we've run because you're just moving forward. It's just mass versus mass. And I don't think there's anything more football than mass versus mass.
100%. 100%.
Now, Lurie, on the other hand, he was a little bit more vocal and kind of went all out there. One high-ranking league source who was in the room said Lurie was like a guy, quote, like a guy trying to convince his girlfriend why he shouldn't leave him. Throughout his pitch, Lurie was emotional, passionate, and at one point crude. He said the fact that his team came up with a play so unstoppable that the rest of the league had no other choice but to try and ban it was, quote, like a wet dream for a teenage boy. Toward the end of his address, he told the assembled owners that regardless of the day's result, he and his franchise would walk out winners with Super Bowl rings to show for it. And that's just like, when I read that, instant smile on the face. It's just so electric. Lurie also reportedly went after NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell and former Eagle and now Executive Vice President of Football Operations, Troy Vincent, criticizing them for pushing to ban the play. After Lurie finished, Vincent called him out for using the wet dream phrase in front of women in the room, per Seth Wickersham of ESPN. John Clark reported that it was not a pre-planned statement from Lurie, and it was just off the cuff because he was fired up, fighting to save the Tush Push. I mean, oh yeah, hell yeah, Lurie.
So, I do see some problems with what he said, and I understand the criticism for not saying those things, and maybe he could have said things differently. But this last part about Clark saying that was off the cuff, that makes me feel a little bit better. That it was just the first thing that came to his head. Do I think he could have made a different acknowledgement? Probably. But at the same time, he was pissed off, and rightfully so. There's no sense about him being mad about Goodell and Troy Vincent. I completely understand his outrage for that. It's basically known that Roger Goodell did not want this play back in the NFL for another season. Excuse me. And he essentially went to Mark Murphy, the CEO of the Packers, who's retiring after this season, to basically said, you're going out, do this favor for me and put this proposal through. And that was the reason the Packers put that proposal through. I think that's pretty scum of them and pretty just jealousy in there that now the Eagles fans hate you for trying to do that. And one, and two, just trying to be on the good side of Goodell, which is so annoying. But I'd be pissed if I was Jeffrey Lurie. They essentially went behind your back to escort this entire thing together to try and get rid of this play. And it's so annoying that it took all this, and yet it's still so funny to me that in the end it didn't work out for you because teams still felt that it's just being coerced and you shouldn't be doing this. I personally love Lurie getting fired up for this. Like I said, I think he could have worded things differently. But again, I love that he just went for it. Like he was tired of people telling him that you can't be doing this. It'd literally be like if teams figured out like wide receivers throwing, like that was like the meta play or whatever, or like you were new rules for that, and people got so good at it they just want to get it right, get it taken away. And now the Eagles have kind of the same thing. They have a great play that nobody can stop. Not people can't stop it, but you have to do certain ways, and they're just mad that they can't execute on those levels. Tampa Bay Buccaneers literally put out like a video, I think on their Twitter or whatever, of 4 different plays, 4 different tush pushes that they've stopped. And they literally do it by having 330-pound Vita Vea and 2 other humongous defensive linemen in the A-gaps and on top of the center Juergens, and they push forward and they stop the pile. It's not that hard to figure it out, but teams, they aren't built, not everybody's built to be able to stop a tush push. If you don't want to do that, build your team better, put more D tackles in the box, change your formations to make it work. I'm tired of hearing, oh, this just isn't fair. Yes, it is, because anybody can do this if they wanted to. You're just mad that the Eagles have the best offensive line in football, the best squatting quarterback who can do this, and are just stronger than you. I'm just tired of this whole thing. It's so annoying. I'm done. I'm just done with it. I want it to be over with and just never talk about it again, but it's going to come up again next season, and it's probably going to get banned again. But at this point, it's whatever. Just move on with it. We're going into the season. I just want to run this 75 times a game now. And I'm looking forward to that Packers Monday night game because I truly think that game there's going to be some bad blood in that game. I truly feel it.
I'm hoping September 4th, opening night, first play the Eagles run, they go out there and do the tush push. Even on November 10th, or I believe it's November 10th, week 10 against Green Bay on Monday night. Go out and run it. Do you think that the Packers not having an owner and being publicly owned had anything to do with them being chosen or selected, possibly selected? It's not true. It's not proven yet that Goodell picked the Packers probably to ban this play.
I think it helped because, like I said, Mark Murphy, the CEO of the Packers, he's retiring after this year, and while it's not confirmed, it basically has been said through dirt reports that he basically told Mark Murphy, on your way out, I want you to do this. Like the signs are pointing towards in that direction. It's not that hard to figure this out. So yeah, I think it doesn't help because most owners, they know like they're staying for their franchise unless they end up selling. You pretty much know that even if one guy, like the Jim Irsay case, rest in peace Jim Irsay, by the way, that's a terrible thing that just happened. Just because he passes along, it's still staying in his family, so you can't just turn to the next family or whatever unless they sell. But I don't think they will. The Packers not having an owner, they're just going to go to another CEO, and then maybe they could fire that CEO too, and they'll go to another one and another one. It's a constant changing thing for the Packers. So I'm sure that probably had a way into what team Goodell definitely aligned himself with, and him having a good relationship with Mark Murphy. Like I said, him retiring and all that, a lot of the things pointed in the right direction, of them wanting to do that in that scenario. So yeah, it definitely was an orchestrated thing between them. And it's another reason why I'd be pissed if I was Lurie. They went behind his back essentially and did this. And it's really annoying that it took all this to get to that point, to that vote, and it still didn't work out. And I think that's the funniest part of this entire thing. It still did not work out.
Yeah, well, Lurie and Jason Kelce saving the day, and thank you to the Ravens, Browns, Lions, Jags, Dolphins, Patriots, Saints, Jets, and Titans. I think it's one of the two old school coaches, Mike Vrabel, and oh my God, what's the Packers coach name? Why am I blanking?
Oh, Matt LaFleur. Packers coach Matt LaFleur.
The Lions.
Oh, Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell. Oh my goodness, that was bad.
Shout out Dan Campbell.
Vrabel and Campbell. They're the two old school type of coaches that are that seem to be pro Tush push. And I'm sure some of these teams also got swayed by what Lurie and I don't know as much about Lurie, but probably what Jason Kelce said about the safety.
Shout out Kellen Moore. Shout out Kellen Moore for keeping his franchise in check, unlike the other two head coaches that we employed, Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. Oh wow, I almost forgot his name. That's how irrelevant he is, Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah. So and it's funny, the Eagles. Every team the Eagles play this year voted against it except for the Lions and Campbell. So Dan Campbell is a real. I mean, it's the owners voting, but the coaches certainly have a say since they're the football minds. But yeah, so good. Thanks to them, and thanks to SeatGeek, who's sponsoring the Philly Sports Hour as they always do. It's the most easiest and efficient way to get your tickets. Everybody knows. Each seat, they're giving a green, red, or yellow dot. They help you out. It's either, if it's green, it's good. Red, it's bad. Yellow, it's okay. Stick to the green. Green for Eagles and green for good. If you use code Philly Sports Report, save $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Again, Philly Sports Report, $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring the Philly Sports Hour as they always do. They're also the official ticket provider of the Philadelphia Phillies. And we're going to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies, who have the best record in all of baseball. We'll dive more into the Phils in a moment, but let's highlight this one guy right now.
Pretty important guy.
This one singular human being who buzzed his hair and has decided to become maybe the best hitter on the Phillies. How about Bryce Harper? Through May 11th, he had a 237 average with a 354 on-base percentage and a 428 slugging with 7 homers, 15 extra base hits, and 22 walks. Since then, May 12th, excluding the game Friday night against Oakland, not Oakland, the A's.
I'll be messing that up.
He's hitting 432 with a 488 on-base percentage and 649 slugging. Is 1 homer, 6 extra base hits, and 5 walks. Did Nick Sirianni give him a phone call and say, hey, you got to shave your head?
The Nick Sirianni effect obviously works. I mean, Harper's been a really good. We know how great Bryce Harper can be. We have seen it throughout the years. We know how clutch he can be. We've seen him be an MVP for this team. We know how great he can be. And it was a little bit of a concerning thing to start the year. You know, him not being able to hit fastballs was really concerning to me. That was number one concern for him because he just seemed like he was so late on pitches. He just wasn't getting anything that he could hit and not working counts. And that just didn't seem like him. He was swinging early and he wasn't getting fastballs early. And he was looking for fastballs on like first and second pitches and he wasn't getting them, which it was really pissing me off how much he was doing that because he needed to know that he wasn't getting fastballs. But he is finally taking an approach that I really like. He is finally just accepting that he's not going to get that fastball and he has to make other pitches work. And not every pitch is going to be a 500-foot home run over the fence. And that's okay. That doesn't need to be a bad thing. He just needs to realize that if they're going to give him an 0-2 curveball on the outside corner, drive it to left field, bloop a single that way. If he's going to get an inside pitch, drive a single to the right side. It's okay to not have to kill the ball every single time. Singles work. Keep the line moving, especially when you got a guy like Trey Turner and Bryson Stott ahead of you who are normally on base. Singles will almost every single time with those two guys on will score a run. And not to mention, you have Kyle Schwarber behind you. You have protection now. It's a good thing to have that. So Harper has been an absolute great player right now. And you could say he's not facing as good as pitching. Whatever. I hate that argument. I think it's dumb. It's the MLB. They're employed for a reason. He's been playing really well. He has 11 singles since May 10th out of 19 hits. That's phenomenal. That's what he should be doing. It felt like with his 237 average for the first month and a half of the season, it was double or bust for him or home run or bust for him. He really just wasn't doing that well. So the fact that he's doing this right now and is on a hot streak is really good for the team. I think that's the main reason this team is rolling because they're rolling through him. He basically said it to the NBC sports guys, Tom McCarthy and Ben Davis. He knew he was going to get going. It's a weird thing how players, especially baseball players, know when like their time is coming because it's such a long season and you're going to go through slumps. I get it. You're not going to be a 500 hitter every single game knocking in 4 RBIs. There's only so many Aaron Judges, and sometimes Aaron Judge doesn't play well either. So I get it. There's going to be times when you're not going to play well, and Philadelphia is a short-tempered city. If they see bad baseball in a week, they're going to overreact, and I fully understand that. But there were concerns with Harper, but he has finally just felt that, I'm going to get going. I know it's coming. It's taking a little bit of time, but he has finally gotten going, and it's been really good to see. This Colorado series was a really big series for him. It really felt like he was finally back to being like the player we know him as an MVP. And last night, obviously, he didn't get a hit, but, got on base twice, 2 times as well, getting hit by a pitch. You better watch that, Athletics. I almost had a heart attack when I saw him hit that elbow. I think that was the UCL one. I'm pretty sure. If it wasn't, it's still just it gives me a heart attack every single time I see him get hit because I feel like it's going to turn into a 60-day injury or whatever. Knock on wood. I hope that never happens again. But yeah, he's been playing so much better. His slugging is up too, which is a really big thing. Like he's hitting all these singles. He's got 11 since May 10th, but his slugging is still up, which is such a good thing to see. He's trying to incorporate more walks. He's got Kyle behind him. It's protecting him. It's such a good thing to see. And like I said, when Bryce Harper plays better, I think the team plays better as a whole, and you're kind of seeing that right now.
Yeah. So he's got his average up this season to 271, OPS 844, and it's back up to some respectable numbers after what was a pretty horrible start for Bryce. I'm getting to the point where I might shave my head. Like I don't know.
I did too. So not that bad of a thing. Yeah, sometimes the haircut works, man.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. You mentioned his slugging. Bryce's slugging this season is up to 464. So better than what it was.
No, yeah, 100%.
That's for sure. So Bryce Harper, a big reason for this win streak that the Phillies got going on right now. And I'm sure he rocks some Foco because who doesn't? Obviously. Foco, they're the best. The real fans, they need the best gear. Foco got it. Make sure you go over to Foco. Link is in the description of the YouTube stream and in the bio of all social medias. Save 10% off any in-stock item. That's bobbleheads. That's the overalls. That's the t-shirts. That's the hoodies. That's the rain jacket. They got so much stuff over there. They got Phillies bathing suits, which I know Matt is looking for his own Phillies bathing suit. And he's gonna go over to Foco and he's gonna get it.
I need a new one. I think I'm opening up our pool this weekend. I think I might need one new one.
There you go. I hear he's having a Philly Sports Reports pool party this weekend as well. And we'll all wear our Foco bathing suits. Thank you to Foco for sponsoring. Let's dive into the Phils a little bit more. They just swept the Colorado Rockies. 4-game sweep. They went 7-0 against the Rockies. First time they've ever gone 7-0 against a team ever, which is pretty.
That's a crazy stat a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't really think about it.
I never thought they wouldn't have beat it. I know playing a team 7 times this season is kind of crazy, but that was kind of crazy. We'd never done that before, but yeah, it was kind of cool.
Well, they always, because it's the new schedule, so they only play each NL team twice, other than the NL East, of course, because they play everybody now. So it's like probably a newer
might be
stat. So I don't know. So if the Rockies barely got game 1 last night against the A's, I fell asleep in the 8th inning. 9th inning sounded like a wild ride, but it's okay. Phillies have the best record in Major League Baseball. They're 33-18. They have the best road record in baseball, 16-10. They've won 8 straight games, and a lot of it's coming from the offense. Trey Turner is hitting amazing. Kyle Schwarber can't stop hitting homers. Bryce Harper, we just talked about, and Alec Bohm he's feeling himself again, and everybody hits.
It's almost once great Charlie Manuel, still a great manager, still former manager of the Phils. He says it when the weather gets warmer, it hasn't been really warm in Philadelphia, but when the weather gets warmer, that's when the hidden season comes. And the hidden season is what the Phillies love. And this team especially loves hitting in warm weather. And it's coming. Now, this team has been really good. I think it's been such an underrated first 2 months I want to start with Trey Turner. It's been such an underrated 2 months for him. He has been otherworldly. I forget what exactly he's batting right now, but it's well into the 300s. It almost seems like twice a game this guy's getting a hit. And he's on base almost 3 times a game. His on-base percentage has to be one of the best in baseball. He has just been so good for this team up top. Whether it's batting 1, batting 2, just being in front of Bryce Harper helps him so much. And it's been showing it finally this season. And it's crazy because you wonder, why hasn't Turner been doing this every single season for the last 3 years he's been here? And Rob Thompson spoke about it. He literally said he had to talk to Trey about not pulling the ball and not trying to hit home runs. And it's crazy that it took him finally saying that to be like, oh yeah, I'm the fastest guy in the league. I can beat out any ground ball almost in the infield. I'm a solid contact hitter. It's crazy to me that it took him saying that, Rob, for Turner to be like, oh yeah, I'm great. I should be able to do these skills that they asked me to do. And now he's been fantastic. He's been doing great with contact. He's stealing more bags, which I really love. Oh my God. We executed a double steal in the one Rockies game. I couldn't believe what baseball team I was watching. I never thought I'd see the day that we'd do that again. They've just been really good. And it's been showing on the field. And yes, they have not been playing the best talent. The Pirates suck. The Rockies royally suck. My goodness, they are bad.
They won last night.
I can't believe that. I can't believe it because it's honestly the funny thing about last night with that winning that game against the Yankees. That's how the Phillies were when they went out to Colorado on Monday. When you go out to the West Coast, time change, it's a real thing. I know people complain about that. It's a real thing. It's a really big thing that these players have to deal with. And the Phillies kind of showed it through the first 7 innings of that first Colorado game. They couldn't score a run. It took Bohm hitting that home run for them to finally take the lead. And you're like, how are they losing to the 8-win Rockies? It's because they were out there and the Phillies were not. It's a tough time change for them to make. And the Rockies, who have been at home all week, got the Yankees, who had to play a day game, getaway game against the Rangers, who was a 1-0 win. They already weren't hitting well, and then they go out to Colorado. They don't take batting practice probably, and they don't hit well last night except for Aaron Judge. And they lose last night. It happens in baseball so much, and if you look at it in certain scenarios, it happens so much. But the Phillies ended up getting all 4 of those wins, and that's a big thing for them. Same thing happened last night. Phillies couldn't hit. They got a Trey Turner leadoff home run. They couldn't hit till the 9th inning, and they against Mason Miller of all people, which is crazy enough. And it happens to teams. I get it. Just moving to new locations, it's a tough thing to do. You play way better when you're sitting at home for 8 straight days. It's such a whole different thing. So it's a good thing that they're winning right now. They're keeping that winning streak alive. I love it. Back to the top of the National League. You got guys that the offense is rolling so well right now. And like I mentioned, Trey Turner has been my big star of this team right now.
Trey Turner hitting .310 on the year. You mentioned his on-base percentage. It is, I'm just going on, .364.
Fantastic.
So towards the top of the league. It wasn't in the top 25, but towards the top of the MLB. Last year's on-base percentage was only .338.
Yeah, it's such a dramatic shift. The season before, I'm looking at it now, was .320.
Yeah.
He is just gradually getting better and better and doing things that he should have been doing, because I remember when he was with the Nats, he wasn't really seen as a power hitter. He was seen as the guy who gets on base, steals bags. The defense is, we'll worry about that later, but, it's not the best. But that's what he needs to do at the top of this order, especially with guys like Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber behind him. It's such a great thing to see him getting on base. And like I said, it feels like he's on base at least twice a game now, which is something you need out of your top 3 guys.
Definitely is. So last week, Phillies lost Jose Alvarado to a PED suspension, which there's so many different ways you can look at that. They call it a weight loss supplement. I call that BS, which is just, because the teams always try to find a way to cover it up. And this is what the Phillies were doing. Although I want to have trust in Jose Alvarado. I've had somewhat trust in him over the last 3 or 4 years. And it sucks to see this, but Phillies are trying to find a replacement. Either in the trade market, they allegedly reached out to David Roberts, who is at the ripe age of 40. And that's the Phillies' only answer, which, it is what it is. The trade deadline is in the end of July. But the Phillies might just have their answer in-house. While he didn't have a very good night last night, coming into last night, he had 9 straight scoreless appearances, and I'm talking about the good old Canadian, Jordan Romano. Romano, in his last 6 2/3 innings, has 13 strikeouts and a 1.05 whip. Of course, the runs in the 9th inning of last night's game, where he gave up 3, are inflating his ERA up to 4.5. But he has 4 saves in his last 7 games, which I don't know how many of those were save situations off my top of my head. But he's getting saved. He's not allowed runs except for the very few times he is. And he might just be who the Phillies needed and were signed originally back in December.
No, he has 100% been a lot better. Before I talk about Romano real quick and about his thing, the Jose Alvarado situation, there's 2 scenarios with Alvarado, because this whole thing with the weight loss thing, it could be true. And if it is, I think there's 2 scenarios with Alvarado. So either he knew exactly what he was doing with these drugs, with the PEDs, and in that scenario, that's terrible way to think, because why are you doing these things in the first place? And then there's the other option where he really didn't know that these things had PEDs, and in that scenario, he's an idiot, because there is literally a phone number that you call the MLB to say, I want to take this drug right now. It's a weight loss drug. Can I take this? Is it illegal? Is it banned in our book? They will literally tell you yes or no, and you can take it or you don't. So in those 2 scenarios, they're not great.
Yeah, not just the MLB. You can call your team, your Philadelphia organization, where you've been since 2000 for 3 or 4 years, and they will give you an answer. Yeah. It is so bizarre. Or you could Google it. You could use ChatGPT. There are so many outlets where you can get the answer to this. And if it's true and it was a weight loss supplement, I mean, does this guy have a brain? It is really not that difficult to figure it out. There are so many different ways to get the answer. And I don't think someone is stupid enough, because you play in Major League Baseball, you got to have some sort of intelligence of what you should and should not take, or read the label. Yeah. There's a label in the back of every drug, and if there's something on there, it's oh, I don't think I can take that. You don't take it.
Yeah.
Which is why I think this is ridiculous because it's a bad argument. Because I mean, come on, now you're just making Alvarado sound like an idiot.
Yeah,
Like
I said,
player.
there's two scenarios. Either he's sneaky and he knew what he was doing and it's wrong and he should have known it was wrong, or two, he's an idiot. Either of those scenarios are not good for his case. So yeah, I just wanted to address part of that. It's just a terrible situation. He knows he should have probably been doing it, and the fact that they're trying to paint this as him being an idiot is just sad. That's not what we should be doing. But back to Romano. Yeah, Romano's been great. He's been so much better. Last night was the first game where he's allowed an earned run. I believe since the Marlins game where he gave up 6 in the ninth inning, which the only other time he allowed a run was the Mets game, game 3 of that series. I think it was a Sunday. I might be wrong. It might be, or no, it was a Thursday. It was a getaway game where Marte hit the walk-off off of him. Technically, that wasn't an earned run because it was the ghost runner at second, but he let up the run. Hasn't allowed an earned run since the Miami game before last night, and he's been a lot better. He has been a guy where when you pay him that money for the year, you can put him in big-time situations. Last night, he obviously didn't have it, and so there's going to be times when he doesn't have it, and you can obviously see it. I noticed after the first at-bat, I didn't think Romano had it, and I honestly don't know if I would have really left him in that game as long as they did. I understand that they're shorthanded, and they were trying to get enough out of him, but you really could see that he just did not have it on those first 2 guys, walked the first 2 batters, and then he left the fastball right over the middle. It's what happens when you don't have your pitches and you get behind 3-1 in a guy and you just leave a fastball over the middle of the plate. It's exactly what's going to happen. So yeah, it was a tough scenario last night for him. Thankfully, Tanner Banks is able to step up, but if Romano can still just, get his stuff going and just keep being okay and getting these, he's going to be in some big spots. I think he'll be okay because he obviously has shown signs that he can be put in these big spots throughout these last couple of weeks. And it's a good thing because you need guys in that scenario. The Jose situation creates so much more now because, yes, Jose's going to be here back in the end of August. But the big issue is when we flip the calendar to October, he's gone. He is no longer needed with this team. And in that case, when he gets back at the end of August, what do you do with Jose? You can't just automatically put him back as like the quote unquote closer and put him in a million safe situations because you're going to need guys who have that experience for October. Yes, I'm not saying that Jose is going to be fully banned from closing out a game. He can still close out games. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't put him in those big spots as often as you do. Let's just say you have it's September and August. You're probably going to have 40 games left in the season when he gets back. So in those 40 games, 30 of them are safe situation games. You cannot put him in more than maybe 10 of those games in the beginning because you need your guys that you can rely on in October to be in those spots. Now, that's going to be a long time when we get back to Jose at the end of August. Who knows who's going to be our relief pitcher at that point? We could be trading for guys like Mason Miller or Ryan Helsley, Pete Fairbanks. I'm starting the Pete Fairbanks to Philly train. It's going to happen. Excuse me. Maybe get another lefty. So this bullpen could be completely changed by that point. So maybe you might not need him to be in those big spots as much. You might have other guys that you trade for. Or maybe you move a starter like a Ranger to the bullpen. Who knows what you do? This bullpen is going to look so much different when Jose gets back to the scene. So you don't know what it's going to be. But it's such an interesting situation now because for the rest of June, until you really get to the around July-ish of the trade deadline, I don't know how much you can really trade for because you have to overpay for these teams because teams don't really want to trade right now. They want to see what they can get other offers. And so you pretty much have to stick out with what you have right now. And this bullpen, in my opinion, is playing like a team that just watched. It's kind of like an army group who just watched their captain just go down with the ship, and he just watched him die. And now you're just like, who's in charge? Like, what do we do? Like, it kind of feels like that in that scenario where not having Jose, you're just grasping at who can be the leader right now and who can be the guy. And they have had great appearances from Romano and Strom. Orion has been a guy that's been cleanup duty. Tanner Banks came in and pulled up a great out last night. That was great to see. You're getting good outings out of these guys. Some not as well. Carlos Hernandez not that great in Colorado. Honestly, I think the bullpen was a little reason why we didn't blow out, quote unquote, the Rockies, but their offense still played pretty well. But right now it's going to be an interesting 2 months to see how this bullpen flips over. You need guys like Romano to keep doing what he's doing so that they can keep winning these games, because these games are just as important as getting down to the nitty-gritty in August and September. You got to keep winning these games, and it's going to be a tall task for this bullpen until they make a major move, which I don't know what that's going to be or when that's going to come, really.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. No major move is happening in the month of May. Like, if we're reaching out to, like, if our answer right now is David Roberts,
you have to overpay for it so much for it to happen. Yeah. It's not going to happen.
It's not worth what the asking price would be right now. And when you get to July, you mentioned some names, of course, Mason Miller, Ryan Helsley, the big two. You like the Pete Fairbanks train. I might be hopping on your train.
I love
convince if, let's say you got some people watching right now, and they're like, who's Pete Fairbanks? convince the people why Pete Fairbanks should be in red pinstripes in July.
Well, I think any of those guys would be really good for the team. Pete Fairbanks, in my opinion, Tampa Bay Rays reliever. I feel like he's been in Phillies. I really wrote this in my one feature the other day. I feel like Pete Fairbanks in Philly has been like a rumor since like 2021. He's been like such a Philly guy. He seems like such a guy that would work so well in the city. Power throwing right-hander who can be a closer if he really wanted to. He's been a closer with Tampa Bay. He's closed out a lot of their games. He's been a 20-plus save guy in back-to-back seasons. His ERA has been really good over the last 5 years with the Rays. I think it's 250, something like that, over the last couple of years. He's been one of the best guys that the Rays have had. That it hasn't been like a Randy Arozarena or since their World Series in 2020. He's been one of their top-end closers, and I think with only 2 years, a year and a half left on his deal, I think that'd be a great option for Phillies. I think he's going to be one of the top names because I don't think the Rays are in a spot where they know they're not winning the World Series. So I think they're in a spot where they're trying to trade off some of their expiring contracts going forward. Jake Bird, another guy we saw this past weekend in Colorado, he's got beef with Harper from that whole time when he was trash talking Harper coming off the field. Harper called the Rockies a loser organization. So maybe they can put that aside, maybe be a little bit better. You're going to check in on the the Ryan Helsleys and the Mason Millers of the world. I don't know if either. It's so hard to deal with those trades right now, especially with St. Louis playing really well right now. They've been on fire ever since they took 2 or 3 against us. They're I think a game back of the Cubs at the top of the NL Central right now. And Ryan Helsley has been pitching pretty decently for them. So I don't know if he's going to get dealt this deadline. I know he's a free agent after this year, but he's probably going to be the top available arm at this deadline if he still gets traded. The Mason Miller thing, I just feel like if the Phillies are really willing to win, they trade for Mason Miller and get the 4 years of control with him. It might cost them an Aiden Miller. I know, do a Miller for Miller swap maybe, but that's such a tough thing to want to do. But if you really feel like you want to go all in, and I know Miller didn't pitch well last night. He's still a great player. His slider was disgusting last night as well, and his 102 fastball is otherworldly. It'd be such a great arm for the Phillies, and any of those guys would be so good. I right now am leaning more towards the cheaper side of the David Bednars and the Kenley Jansens. I have a feeling Kenley Jansen might be a Philly. The Phillies have traded with the Angels so much in the past 5 years. Apparently, I guess they have good standing relationships. I wouldn't be shocked if we trade some prospect for Kenley Jansen, and Jansen's fine. Jansen feels like a guy that I'm shocked hasn't played for the Phillies yet. He's played for so many teams. I'm really shocked that he has not had a 1-year stint with us yet.
He's a great immaculate grid guy.
He is. He really is. It feels like he's destined to get back here. I feel like Kimbrel was another one. I couldn't believe the Phillies didn't have Kimbrel for all that time before they got him. I feel like that's where they're leaning right now, towards not wanting to pay that much. I do really hope that they go in and get somebody, because these teams like the Dodgers, like the Tigers have been really good. Their bullpen is really stacked. The Dodgers just spend so much on their bullpen. They got guys like Tanner Scott as their 7th inning guy, or Evan Phillips when he comes back. He might even be their first guy out the bullpen. It's just crazy how great these pitching staffs are when they're healthy, like the Dodgers, and other teams, and the Padres, and the Giants. So they really need to make sure that this bullpen is locked down, secure. I think it's the number one thing that they need to target. And yeah, it's going to be a tough couple of months until we get some up from a big trade. I do think they might start looking for some young guys in AAA We just saw McAble pitch an absolute gem this past Sunday against the Pirates. He might be back. We'll see. I know they really want him to be a starter. And Andrew Painter's the same way, too. Eventually, we'll get his arm. I don't know what they're going to do with the rotation when we get Andrew Painter up here. Maybe Taijuan Walker goes back to the bullpen. That could be a good thing for them. So we'll see. When we still have a lot of time before we get to the end of the season and really the final team in place, because we won't know what this really final team is until after the deadline. But yeah, it's going to be a little rough couple months until we get that big trade. So this bullpen, they just got to step up. They just got to, hold strong right now. And really, I think a big thing for the Phillies is to ride the starting pitching. We kind of saw it last night. Zach Wheeler went out for another inning, even though he was at like 93 pitches, because he knows that how great he is and how much the bullpen is kind of struggling right now. Not really struggling, but how thin they are with the Alvarado loss, that you kind of need another inning from Wheeler. And thankfully, they got 2/3 of it in the 7th, 6 2/3.
Yep.
So they were able to, get a couple of extra outs and not have to worry about the bullpen that much. So I think they really need to ride this starting pitching. You got Christopher Sanchez today. You got Jesus Lazar tomorrow. You got the 3 best Phillies pitchers on the team right now going in the series. That usually equals a recipe for success. And really, they shouldn't lose the series. I really don't think they should. If they lose both of these next 2 games, I'd be really upset.
Something that people aren't upset to hear, and speaking of the deadline, is so this was thrown out by Jack Fritz, Luke Arcani, friend of the program, wrote this on Crossing Broad. Bryce Harper said this offseason that he is willing to move back to the outfield, and the Phillies were to bring in a slugging first baseman. Now, Pete Alonso, of course, was the free agent in which he was talking about. But what about Rhys Hoskins? Rhys Hoskins, could the Phillies bring back Rhys Hoskins at the deadline? Should the Phillies reach out to Rhys Hoskins at the deadline? Hoskins this season, he's hitting .299, 7 homers, 28 RBIs, OPS 892. He's having a pretty good start to his campaign. Number 12, Rhys Hoskins. When I said it, you didn't seem very thrilled about it. What do you think about a possible reunion with Rhys Lightning?
It's such a love-hate relationship with Rhys. I absolutely love Rhys Hoskins. Rhys is my favorite Philly, I think, all time. I'm not even kidding on that. Like, he was the guy who, in my opinion, was the little bit of light that we had from 2012, really. 2013, 2012, whatever you want to say, until Harper signed with Philadelphia. And that's when it really flipped the switch. I love Rhys. He's such a good guy. And I wanted to see him win in a Phillies uniform so badly. It pained me when he left this team. Like, I'm such a big Rhys Hoskins fan. But I also know I've also seen Rhys Hoskins play for 6 years. I know what kind of player he is. I know for a fact that if he struggles again, if they trade for him, they need the best guy that Rhys is. They need this guy that has been hitting 300 this season, who is hitting a lot of bombs and is not really striking out. I've seen that Rhys. I've also seen the guy who goes 0 for 17 in the playoffs after having an insane NLCS series and then goes to the World Series and can't hit a lake. You can't hit a lake if you throw a fish into there. Like, it's so bad. I don't know if that's the kind of guy you want to add to this lineup, because I have seen games where the Phillies just struggle so much to get going. And I don't know if that's really the guy that you want into this lineup, because the thing is, if they were to do Kepler in center and then Castellanos and Harper in the outfield corners, or Schwarber in left and then Harper stays at first base and they put Rhys at DH, the middle of this order, it's going to be an interesting one, because maybe they put Rhys back up to 4 instead of Castellanos. But in the middle of that order, you're going to have a somewhat order of Rhys, Nick, Kepler, Bohm, and JT. Like, that's so many righties in the top of that order. I just don't know if that's going to work out for them. Like, I don't know. It's such a tough thing that they have to work out. I just don't know what this lineup would look like with Rhys in it. And you kind of have seen it with it anyway when it was Gene instead of Turner. And you kind of saw in the first couple spring training games how they were going to make it work. I don't know. I that's my answer for this Reese deal. Do I think it could work? 100%. If you get the best Reese Hoskins and the guy that's been playing this season for an entire rest of the year, it could be a really good asset for this team. But at the same time, I know how bad Reese can be, and I know how many strikeouts he can have and how down of a player he can be. And I just don't know. I don't know how good or bad that could go. If this trade happens and Reese Hoskins coming back to Philly, I'm on board. I'm gonna be happy. I love Reese. Would be so thrilled if he's back with his team. My flat out answer is I just don't know how it could go. It could go really, really good. It could go exponentially bad, and I really just don't know what kind of guy we could get with Reese.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Also, like in Philadelphia, we have such a tendency of nostalgia and looking back and everything. And as soon as we have a chance to bring someone like that back, it's automatically thrown out there. Like the same thing's going on in the Flyers world right now with Claude Giroux. He's a potential guy that the Flyers could bring back the former captain, bring back G. But these organizations need to move, especially with the Flyers, need to move forward instead of going backwards. Where if you bring Giroux, it's just kind of moving backwards again. Hoskins, I don't think he'd have the same thing where you're moving backwards. The Phillies are kind of in a spot where win now kind of deal, and Reese could be a guy that could help with that. But I don't know. I mean, it's great. Reese is, I've said it so many times. Reese was the first sign of hope for the Phillies since like the early 2000s when they brought in Tomey. Like that was the first real sign of hope that the Phillies had. I don't know. I'm kind of in the same boat. Like there's so many positives with Reese Hoskins, but also like, I mean, I was done with them like halfway through the 2022 season. Like the defense is not very good. I mean, Bryce Harper is probably a better defensive first baseman than Reese Hoskins.
Yeah.
And Bryce has only been playing this position for 2 years now, like almost 2 years. So I don't know. It's an interesting one though.
It's very interesting, but I just don't. Like, I hate saying I don't know things, but I just don't know how this is going to go. Like it could be so great. It could be so great. Reese could if we win, Reese could get a ring like he always deserves for this team. It could also be really bad, and this team could just even turn on him even more. So I just don't know.
All right, final Phil's point. Phillies, they're playing some bad teams right now, obviously. Just swept the Pittsburgh Pirates, swept the Colorado Rockies, and now they're playing the Athletics. No city, just the Athletics, who have won. Are they? What was last night? Their 10th straight loss.
That was their. Yeah, I think it was their 10th straight loss. Jeez,
yeah, they've lost 10 straight. Can you buy in to the Phillies when they're playing the three worst teams in Major League Baseball and they're dominating them? Not really dominating them, just beating them.
100%. Like, I hate this argument that like when you play like 2 weeks of bad teams, like, okay, the Pirates probably were not going to be great in the season. Same with the Rockies, but I don't care. Oakland was on the trend up. I just hate this argument with this, especially coming from other National League teams. The Mets especially. I've seen so many Mets fans talking about how easy of a schedule the Phillies had the last 2 weeks and how the Mets don't have that. The Mets for the first month of the year didn't play any teams that were, either in the playoffs last season or were tracking to be in the playoffs this year. So I don't want to hear any of that either. The Mets, they play the same exact teams as us. The same exact schedule is pretty much done. It's not the same exact schedule, but all the teams are the same, pretty much the same, other than a few differences in the AL opponents. You guys play the Rockies the same amount of times. You play the same amount of NL West teams, the same amount of Central teams. Yes, it's done at different times. I don't care. You have to beat these teams, the Phillies, and they're beating these teams. It sometimes is not as good. Sometimes it's ugly, like the last couple games, the 2-0 win over Colorado, and the 4-3 game last night that they almost blew. But they're beating these teams. I don't care. They're on a roll right now. They're hitting well. Hopefully, this turns into a win over the Braves on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Maybe they win that series. You got the Brewers coming up too. I know they haven't been the great Brewers of the last couple of years, but they're still playing well. Speaking of Reese, he's coming back to Philly this past weekend and this upcoming weekend. You got the Blue Jays coming up. These teams, they have good players. Like even Oakland last night. Scott, I said it again. Even the A's, They have good offensive players. I really think the A's are a team that are the next upcoming in the MLB, like the Tigers were a couple years ago. Their outfield is really good. Soderstrom is a stud in left field. I really like Lawrence Butler. I've been such a huge fan of him for the last couple years. They called up their new center fielder, Clark. I forget his first name, but he's supposed to be really good. Jacob Wilson is the rookie of the year favorite right now at shortstop. You got guys like Jeffrey Springs, who we're going to see today, is really good. They have the pieces that are coming up. They got Max Muncy sitting down the minor. Tommy Tanks from LSU. They got him as a prospect too. They have really good prospects coming up and really good young guys on the team. Brent Rooker. I didn't even mention Brent Rooker. Brent Rooker has been really good too as a DH. They have a lot of guys on this team that are really good. And Colorado, yeah, they weren't great, but playing the Mile High, offense usually does well there, and they were hitting pretty well too. Phillies end up being Paul Skeens. I know it was a 1-0 win, but they end up being Paul Skeens. That's all they really needed. They got a great outing from Abel, and they have just been playing on a roll right now and playing well. And I don't care who they play. This is the major leagues. Everybody's got to play everybody pretty much now. Same exact schedule in the NL. A little bit of differences, but you just play the teams on your schedule and you keep moving forward. And right now they're playing well. They're rolling. I am buying this team. They're playing great, and I'm so excited to see how they keep moving forward.
You got to play who's on your schedule, and there's no way nobody can control that. So, all right. The Sixers have the 3rd overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft, which is just a wonderful thing. You go through all this horrible season, and you end up with the 3rd pick, so it's good. Of course, there is going to be some trade talk with the Sixers. It sounds like they're not going to trade the 3rd overall pick, but hypothetically speaking, if they were to do it, it would be for either one of the two. Kevin Durant or Giannis Antetokounmpo. Should the Sixers shop the 3rd pick? Should they answer the phone? Or should they block all calls like some teams are doing to the 215 number coming from the NovaCare complex? And just not trade the 3rd pick and pick Ace Bailey from Rutgers, whoever else is there at number 3.
I believe that they should definitely hear out what some of these teams had to say, but I really don't think that these should be trading this 3rd pick. The thing with Giannis is it's going to take so much more, in my opinion, to get Giannis as well, because you're going to have to trade Paul George as well. I think Jared McCain is also going to have to be in probably that trade for Giannis. Other maybe like Justin Edwards and other 1st-round picks as well. It's not just going to be just the 3rd pick and like Paul George. If like the Bucks told me that you would just want the 3rd and George, I would consider the trade for Giannis. But it's just not going to be that simple. There's going to be so much more that's going to be needed involved. The Durant one is a really tough no, because I feel like Kevin Durant is the perfect player to play around Joel Embiid. But I just don't think it's going to be that simple to just say, we'll give you 3 and we'll give you Paul George. It's going to take more. It's going to take more 1st-round picks. The Suns have no 1st-round picks going forward the next couple of years. They're going to want, I think we have a Clippers pick that's very valuable coming up. It's not going to be that easy. So no, I really don't think so. I think right now the Sixers have a really nice opportunity with some of the young guards they have of drafting a player that can help them move on from the era that they are in right now and be relevant after the fact when Embiid is done and when Paul George is done, because you still have young players who can still succeed in this league. So I truly think that they should just stay at number 3, take whoever the best young guy available is, and should not be shopping for older players. As much as I would love to see Kevin Durant in a Sixers jersey, I just don't think it's best for what the Sixers need right now. And it's going to be an interesting couple weeks until this draft to see what happens with other teams. I do think Giannis is getting traded. I think it's probably going to be the team in front of us. So I think the Bucks are going to end up picking in front of us, not the Spurs. I think Giannis to the Spurs is a really likely thing that might happen. But I just don't think it's the right idea for the Sixers to try and get even older than they are now. Like, they're just an aging team that is trying to keep this win now window as open as long as they can go, instead of trying to retool and plan for what's going to happen after Embiid and after George and after those big veterans are gone.
Yeah, this is what I think about the Sixers, if they should trade the 3rd pick or not. This is my thoughts.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no. Please do not trade the third overall pick, Sixers. Please.
I wasn't
Please.
expecting that.
Please do not trade the third overall pick.
It's just not right for them to do it. Like, they need to. This is a blessing that they even kept this pick in the first place. Like, just take a guy and just, if he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. Just don't use that as an excuse for wanting to trade this pick because you don't think the guy will work out. Do your homework. One thing, we get Daryl Morey a lot of crap for contracts and whatnot. He has been able to draft very well these last couple of years, getting guys like Jared McCain, drafting Tyrese Maxey, finding guys like Justin Edwards in undrafted pools. Like, he's really been good at finding young talent. So if you think you can still continue to do that, take the third pick and just try to retool this team.
Yeah, just please don't trade.
No.
Please don't trade the pick. Like, oh, hell no. All right. Yep. I mean, if they do trade that third pick, I don't know.
We got about 2 years to win it. That's about it. 2 years. They trade that pick.
If that, maybe only the year.
Maybe a year.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Philly Sports Hour. Matt, thank you for coming on today, and I'll talk to you.
See you, Ben. Thank you again.
All right, that's going to do it for today's Philly Sports Hour. Brought to you by SeatGeek and Foco. The Sixers better not trade that pick. They better not do it. All right, tonight, the Union are hosting Inter Miami, which means Lionel Messi will be playing in Chester for the second time. So that is at 7:30. That'll be fun. And the Phillies, once again, out against the Athletics. That is at 10:05 tonight. So make sure you go watch that. We'll have the write-up on PhillySportsReports.com after. Thank you to everyone for watching, listening to the Philly Sports Hour. If you ever miss a live Philly Sports Hour, go to all podcast apps along with checking it out on YouTube. Thank you to the sponsors. Thank you to all of you for tuning in this morning. We will see you not next week, but no show next week, but probably the weekend. So thank you. Have a great rest of your weekend. Happy Memorial Day weekend. And Memorial Day weekend, of course, we've all officially started summer, but it's for those who have fought in the service and served this country, and we thank them for making the ultimate sacrifice and everything that they do for the United States.
Swing and a drive, left field. It's deep. It's gone. Yes! And it is gone. Yes! It is bedlam at the bank.
But the doctor, yes, he's got it. Here he comes. Way rock the baby to Cleveland slammed up. And the doctor made a sensational play.
Harlan front, the front, and they score! And Giroux got it!